Hi everyone, so my name is Paloma Rago and I have had several requests to produce this little tutorial on how I use my iPad Pro to grade courses. So just to give you a little background, I teach face-to-face, but I teach a lot of online courses, and at some point the amount of emails that I get are almost unmanageable. So I developed a little workflow around how to maximize student feedback, but also minimize some of the time that I spend giving that. So I'll focus today on two tools. And so the first one is called Notability. And the second one will be Viddle, which is the tool that I'm using now to do this little video. So let me just start and show you how I do things. Okay, let me pick this. Okay, so first here I prepared a screenshot of my iPad's Pro screen. So I have the large iPad. Why do I use the, I think it's a 12-inch point something. Why do I use that? Because it's easier for me to actually have a full page and read. So the first thing that you'll notice, this is in my productivity. So these are some of the apps. I use many more, but these are some of my favorite ones. But the one today that we're going to talk about is Notability. So once you click on that app, it will look somewhat like this. So here you see I have several folders that when I press on them, they actually expand. For those wondering here what actual science is according to my husband, who's a physicist. So let's assume that this is not real. Okay, so you can see that here I have several little files that are open in this folder. So I won't explain you exactly how the app works, but more how I actually use it. So if I click on this one, so in my courses I use a lot of rubrics. I know, there's a lot of debate about whether or not that's a good thing, and I won't enter in that debate. I tend to prepare very detailed rubric, as you will see. For every student, I personalize this, or whether it's in group. So I just take one of the rubrics that I was using for one of my courses. And so the good thing is you import, so you need to set up your Notability well, link it to your Dropbox, and I'll show you afterwards how to export it. But let's imagine that you've read the tutorials of Notability and that you've created one like I was showing you here, that you've created, folders with some of your assignments. And so I ask all my students to submit online their work. And so I download them from whatever learning management system you use. We use a version of Moodle, but whether it's Blackboard, whether it's Canvas that you use, you all have access to downloading all the assignments that they use. So I tend to download those in my Dropbox, and then I upload them into Notability. Sometimes I merge the assignments, sometimes I don't. When there are large classes, I only give back to the students the rubrics with some feedback attached to them. Okay, so I've created, let's assume that you have 30 students in your class, you create 30 rubrics, and you start putting the group name on them. So in my app, that's what I do. I will write by hand, okay, this was Paloma's assignment. And so let me try to reduce. So so you might notice that I'm not in Notability actually right now. I'm in another app recording a picture. So you can, of course, vary the thickness of your writing. But anyways, I write this in my my rubric is prepared. So I start with the overall feedback that I will give here, and what I do is I scribble some notes sometimes here. The part that's really interesting with Notability is, aside from the fact that you can create, and this rubric has 4 pages, as you can see here. I'm just really glancing at it quickly. But later I have little checkbox mark that I just use my pen to check. But the really, and you're probably wondering, okay, sure, I can do that by hand. But the really neat thing here is I don't spend time typing my feedback. I use this little tool here, which is a recording button. So when you press the recording button, you can actually record a comment that will be saved in an MP3 file. And so the good thing about this is I read the assignment, I check, my rubric, I put little words, good, this takes me a few minutes. And here I will record, 2, 3, 5 minutes feedback, just talking about the assignment, going back and saying things like, oh, in page 2, you talk about this, you might have wanted to think about this. And so it allows you to give a very personalized feedback that can be almost harsh sometimes, but in a very nice way, because you add your personal layer to it. Okay, so once this is done, you go on the side of the app here, the share button, and you can decide to either email it, Dropbox. So I have some colleagues that have a different workflow than mine, which is still clever. They create a Dropbox folder for each of their student, and the students goes and take the file themselves. I personally like better using the learning management systems, whereas I actually download all the files that I've created here in Notability with the feedback that I used, and then upload them into the learning management system. So the students get an automatic email from Blackboard that the instructor has provided you feedback. Anyways, people have different ways to do it. This is just to give you a sense of all the other things that you can do. So once you decide, for example, to email it, what's really important here is to put this on, which the recordings will be automatically bundled into a zip file with the PDF. So all the scribbles that you have to that will be added an MP3 file. So when the students get the file, the students actually gets directly a zip file that is produced automatically by this app. That's why I really like it. But rather than sending it by email to each student, you can do that if you want. I typically go back into this, and then I have linked my own Dropbox. And so, for example, I choose the destination folder as assignment 1 something, and I send it to Dropbox. So you might think, okay, but it's still a lot of work sending each file. The good thing is, what I do is I grade. So let's imagine all these were student A, student B, C, D, E, etc. So one thing you can do here, again, by selecting this tool when you're on your main menu, you click on this and you are able to select notes to be shared. So then you select all the notes and you can upload them all together directly to Dropbox. This is great because then in your Dropbox you'll have a series of zip files that you can then download to the students. The key thing is to be organized, of course. And so once you have your files here, what's important, and I'm very strict asking my students to submit their file with their last name and the title of the assignment. But in general, your learning management system, if you download them directly from your system, it will do that for you. It will put the name of the last name of the students. So it gets very easy to drag and drop back and give the feedback to your own student. Anyways, so, this tutorial was really to just show you how I use it. It assumes that you are using a lot your learning management system and that you have tools to communicate with your students, but it's really efficient. If you're curious on how I did this little video, I use this little app called Video Pro. So you can download the free version. However, the Pro version allows you to do these more, complete videos. And so you create a little video, and this allows you, and you'll see here, this allows you this blank page as you see, and you won't see the actual, here, you don't see it on your side. You don't see it, but now I've just added a picture. Anyways, this is the bar I was telling you about, that you can draw, you can erase, you can select, and now you might see this, and you can add pictures. So you just need to press add photos. Anyways, so this is a neat little tool, particularly if you want to upload the student's assignment directly and actually link videos. And so you can walk through a student assignment with them and show them exactly which part you think they need to improve. I use that strategy sometimes with my graduate students. I don't do it with the undergrad just because it's a lot of work. But it's more work because you need to upload this, share the video on YouTube or whatever server your university use, and then send each of the link individually. And that for me is too much work. Anyways, I hope that this was helpful. And if you have any question, my email is paloma.rago@carleton.ca. So I'm always happy to help if you have questions or if you're interested in other little hacks like that. Thanks, bye.